Sebastian, you actually reached out to me because I dropped a note on Polywork. If anybody wanted to do a Twitter space on open source, it was pretty generic, but I knew I wanted to reach out to folks in the space to talk about this. And you said you got some expertise in COSS, which is commercial open source software.
Correct.
But before we get into like what is that, I just wanted to give you some time to introduce yourself and tell us who you are.
Yeah, sure thing. So I'm Sebastian. I work at Umbraco HQ. Umbraco is a content management system based on ASP.NET Core. These days, we used to be a very old school ASP.NET, but now we're on .NET Core, which means we're cross-platform. We're everywhere now. I am working in as a developer advocate, and my main tasks at the moment, and have been for a few years, are managing the issue tracker and all the incoming pull requests for the CMS.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when you say CMS, I know CMS is like WordPress.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of like headless CMSs. So like, where in the mix do you mean like CMS for Umbraco?
Yeah, weirdly both. So
Okay.
Umbraco is a fully customizable CMS, just like WordPress, but we would say better, of course. We focus on being friendly for the content editors, and we have a focus on accessibility as well. And it's really easy and really powerful to build excellent customer solutions for end customers, for editors who are actually going to be using the CMS. So unlike WordPress, it's not generic. Our CMS has different types of content that you can enter, and developers can mix those together into a super nice editing experience for the end users. And then we also do. Then we have another thing next to it, which is a headless CMS. Well, I mean, it's still using Umbraco, but we have a headless offering. That's a cloud-based service where you do pure headless. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and I was going to just make a note about your end users. I was going through your customer base that you, I guess I call them moose heads. I don't know if people like the big customers you like to talk about. And I saw Domino's as one of them. Yeah,
Domino's
so
Iceland loves using Umbraco. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's excellent. I don't know how Domino's works in their global entities and stuff like that, but I'm a Domino's fan. Like I tend to get the $5.99 for medium pizzas
Excellent.
every Friday. Actually, honestly, I do it quite often. It's a nice little easy dinner option.
Good Friday treat. I get it.
Yeah, for sure. And then, are you? I didn't even ask. Are you based in Denmark?
So I'm based in Copenhagen, originally from Holland. So if my accent doesn't sound Danish to you, then it's because I'm Dutch.
Okay.
Not that most people
awesome.
outside of Europe would know.
Yeah, so I used to work with Danish founders over at Netlify. It was my previous employer.
Okay.
I don't know
Yes.
if are you familiar with Netlify? Like the Danish government loves them.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Danish government loves Umbraco as well, so that's good.
Yeah, that's awesome. And honestly, like it seems like because like when you think of startups, you don't think of Western Europe. Like you tend to think of Silicon Valley. So I think that there's a lot of pride in folks who build stuff and also even like choose to stay in country and stuff like that. So like shout out to Medusa JS, who's also Danish as well. They're still up and coming. I think they raised the seed or participated. I don't think they participated in YC, but they're doing great stuff, and it's like open source Shopify.
Very cool. Yep. We started Umbraco, and when I say we, the founders started Umbraco about 17 years ago, I think. 17 years ago. I joined the company in 2012, so that's almost 10 years now. When we were 5 people, I think, and now we're up to about 100 people. Most of them based in Denmark, but of course we have some people in the UK, in the US, Holland. Of course, I had to onboard some more Dutchies, and some other countries. Yeah, smaller. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And yeah, I just wanted to take a step to shout out the folks who are sitting here listening with us. Warren had mentioned earlier is here. Vortex and Jason, thanks for joining us at the conversation. This is your time. So if anybody has good questions on commercial open source software, what that means and why that means, like I think it's something I'm seeing more and more. Actually, I'll just shout out JJ from OSS Capital. He's been doing some pretty awesome like newsletters on his forum instance of being able to identify the future of commercial software that's open source. But I mentioned a couple times, can you explain what COSS, commercial open source software, what that is? Because I'm sure a lot of folks are very interested.
Oh, it's a good question. So the CMS is completely open source. Nothing is hidden from you. We don't have anything that's secret or anything. And then we years ago, before anybody even started talking about commercial open source, we started producing a few plugins for Umbraco, which is a forms editor and a way to deploy your content from one environment to the next. And that actually provided enough income for us at the time to hire a few people and keep working on the open source part and making sure that that was excellent. A few years, actually, the year after I joined, we started up with a cloud offering. So completely managed hosting for Umbraco, for your Umbraco sites, including automatic upgrades and all that kind of sweet stuff. That is now where we're focusing on making our money. So the hosted services is what we're gonna, because it's returning income, right?
Yeah.
Every month we have yep. So that's where we're at now, and that's working. I mean, we are able to hire 100 people or a little bit more at the moment. So. We still make the commercial plugins as well. We do courses, training for people who are new to Umbraco or who are experienced but also need to know more. We have partnerships that people can or companies can buy into. So we have multiple different revenue streams, basically supporting what. I'm the only one who costs money in the company because we're just making free software, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's how we do it.
Yeah, and I was just going to ask about the community angle. So, like open source software, you have now a cloud hosted version, that element there. But how do you continue to earn the trust or keep the trust of your open source community while also having a paid product?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I mean, the cloud service works great, but you're not obligated to buy into it. You can very easily host your own Umbraco sites anywhere you want, from Azure to AWS to any small hosting provider you can think of. So it's very easy to just take Umbraco and move it wherever you want. But of course, we would say our cloud service is really good, and you should try it out for all the automated stuff that we give you, including in the price. So yeah, I think we keep earning trust by being very open about all of this. Also, not providing features only on our cloud service. So anything that goes into CMS goes into the open source CMS, unless it ties into media CDN services and something like that. That's something that you normally need to buy yourself anyway. So, but everything else keeps going into the open CMS, and we talk openly about what we're doing, a roadmap, why we're doing things, and we take a lot of input from our community actually. That's why we call it a community-driven CMS still.
Okay, yeah, and I was going to say community input, but do you also take contribution from community members as well?
Yeah, so that's my main job. Not just merging the pull requests, but also trying to find people to help out with that. So yes, absolutely, we have all of the things that you want, contribution guidelines, making sure that we have something that can build easily. People can pretty quickly pick up the Git repo and start running and start figuring things out. We recently launched a Discord server as well, which has now about 600, 700 people on it, where we help people who want to contribute and don't know exactly where to look. So yeah, we're very happy with doing everything in the open on GitHub.
Yeah, I love it. I'm a big fan of GitHub as well.
Yes.
Yeah. And I was going to say, like community management and sort of sourcing contributions, interests from the community. I think it's a very powerful play because if you earn the trust of individual contributors, like I work at GitHub, but I know other people sitting here work for other companies as well. So like if you earn their trust and folks can actually see the code, it gives them a more confidence to choose your software because they can see where it's going. They can see who's contributing or who's not contributing and have some sort of validation. Like, does this also help with, because I was chatting with someone earlier today off unrelated project, but when it comes to like security, like being able to see insights, because I know security is a big issue for a lot of CISOs and making sure that things don't go down and that they can help support and keep things afloat. So like, do you see a lot of benefits for folks who are very security minded?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's we do have twice a year we have a security audit of parts of the CMS scheduled in general. That's what that we pay for. But we also get a lot of interest from security professionals who are looking at our repositories and trying to find any problems in there. Unfortunately, but fortunately, maybe once a year we find something that's serious enough to actually warrant a new patch release, and that usually or often comes out of the blue. Some security company has been trying to break Umbraco and found something interesting that we missed. So it's fantastic as well for the inspectability. They can point us to the exact code that's wrong and tell us what we missed there. So yeah, we're very happy about that.
Yeah, I mean, there's the adage of it takes a village. So, like, I think with the support of open source, like you will, and also even security researchers, like if they can see your code base and they can validate that this thing is up to the par, if nothing's sort of getting derelict of updates or whatever it is. Like we have all these projects. Like I've been an engineer at many companies, and like you definitely have those projects. It's like it was a cool idea, but now it's just sitting. The beauty of having your community-driven focus is that people can point out stuff that either is getting a little old or slow, or can provide input. And I think I joked about around Domino's, but I imagine if like you're an engineer at Domino's Iceland, like you can now take a look to see like what's supporting this, and like if you need some sort of value or feature, you have some sort of a way for input.
Yeah, exactly. Especially our enterprise customers usually have a requirement for running a security scan before any of the sites go live. And we often get reports from that. Usually, it's not very interesting, luckily. But sometimes they find something interesting. Yep. And that and bugs. We're 18-year-old software, and we have not. We've resisted the urge to start from scratch every few years. There is probably some 15-year-old bugs still lurking in there somewhere. We encourage people when they report a bug and it's not like a very recent thing, but we can reproduce it. We encourage people to go and have a look at the code themselves and see if they can they send us a pull request. We like to point out whereabouts they could look and see if they can help us by helping themselves. Which is actually how I got started in this. So when I first started using Umbraco in 2009, I found a bug, and the source was open. It was on Codeplex at the time, not as great as GitHub, by the way. I sent them a patch, and then I waited, and then I waited, and then I waited. And after about a year of waiting, I asked someone, "Hey, are you gonna look? This is a good bug. I fixed it." And they were like, "Yeah, we'll get to it." So when I joined the company, I was very much on top of, okay, let's not let people wait for that long for their bug to be fixed, and actually encourage people to help out and see if we can help them contribute more and more.
Yeah, it's almost like you're, as a user, having an open source element, like you're almost invested in the future of this. Like you now can take a look, you can validate bugs, you can help squash bugs if you are that encouraged to help out. But I'm curious, how do you sort of manage the roadmap and like the velocity of like PR reviews and like bugs being opened in the open?
Yeah, it's tricky. So we have a roadmap that we set from internal. So we mostly work on new features coming up. Of course, we fix bugs if we recently created them. But we have a few rules around that. So if a bug has been discovered that's not in the last, I want to say 3 minor releases, or has not been fixed in the last 3 minor releases, we ask people to contribute fixing it. They haven't seen it for 6 months yet, so or nobody's seen it for 6 months, so maybe they can help fix it instead of us fixing all the bugs for them when they come in. Of course, if it affects us somewhere, if it hurts us on our cloud offering, for example, we love to help. Or if it's something small, we can help as well. But mostly we try and help ask the community to help us out with any problems they might encounter. For the last few years, I've been building all kinds of interesting integrations with GitHub because I felt there was some things lacking on GitHub itself, and you're very quickly at the moment GitHub is trying to implement all the things that I've already done on my own.
What are some examples?
Yeah, so we have not just CMS, but we have about 30 other open source repositories that we wanted to manage. And I needed to have an overview of everything that's happening on all of those repositories. And I couldn't figure out how to get that all in one view. Now you have the beautiful new project boards that are actually exactly what I built, but way better, of course.
Excellent.
Same thing with pull request overview. I started. We resisted using bots for a very long time, but at some point we realized we couldn't do it on our own anymore. So we needed a little bit of automated help. So I made some integrations where I would get all of the information of all pull requests coming in, store that locally, and then a bot would reply to the pull request, saying thank you. We are friendly, so we want to say thank you for your help and some next steps of what we're going to do. That was before GitHub Actions even existed. So you're making my dreams come true at the moment by implementing all the features that I already have somewhere else. So I can delete all that code. That's great.
I mean, when you don't have to maintain stuff and you can leverage folks who are doing it faster and probably more clever, I'm a big fan of that too as well. Because when I was at Netlify pre-GitHub Actions, I was in at GitHub, I built this like bunch of Lambda functions to identify all my open source repos and have like a sort of eagle's eye. I called it the product manager. Because like at Netlify, we had so many open source projects, and I had no idea what was happening in any of them at the same time. So I created this like not very clever solution to be able to identify all this stuff. But what I love about the GitHub projects, but even the tables, is that you could automate putting stuff into the table, and then you can identify if you need to triage something. So like right now, we have automation for all the events we do. We call it IRL. It's a repo called IRL, and we've got automation. So when you open up a new issue for an event, you can now start tracking to see like, okay, do we have sponsorship? Have we got this coordinated? Do we have it on the events page? Did we tweet it? And it's literally a godsend. Like I'm just super happy that I don't have to think about this moving stuff to start doing some like triaging.
It's turning into a workflow engine basically.
Yeah, and I think the community, like the whole DevOps ecosystem, I think now, similar as you probably could attest to, like with CMSs, like now there's a lot of solutions, but there's a lot of solutions for specific use cases now, and now with like DevOps or automation through actions or whatever tools, you can now have like out of the box solutions. So like with the project I work on, which is open source, which is where this content will go up on our podcast feed and everything like that, and our YouTube channel. And we have a PR compliance action that one of my contributors built to identify if like the PR is up to par with our standards, our contributing MD. And I built it. Actually, I didn't build it specifically. I spec'd it out, and then someone took over it and built it for Hacktoberfest, because like when you get Hacktoberfest contributions, you constantly get stuff that maybe doesn't hit like the bar of quality. But if I can just have the bot basically say, hello, thanks so much, but you have no issue attached, or hey, you touch a piece of code that doesn't really need any support right now. Could you instead look at the good first issues, like that type of stuff?
That is really cool. Yeah. You hit on a good other thing. Oktoberfest is my favorite month in the year.
Do y'all have certain plans for October?
Well, we're not there yet.
You got some months.
We're getting there. Yeah, we're preparing. We love. We've joined Hacktoberfest for the first time 5 years ago, I want to say. Really lovely the first year. Then it was a bit of a year of spammers, which has actually been solved. This year was actually really good. The whole spam problem has gone away completely, at least for us. Hacktoberfest is super nice. We organize events around it, hackathons. Last few years, of course, we've been doing this online, it's just always super fun to see people getting into the code and realizing, this bug I've been looking at for 2 years, I could have easily fixed it myself if I had only known where to look 2 years ago. So that's my favorite time of the year when I see those light bulb moments from people going, oh, okay, well, now that I can do this, maybe I can do some more. We had 1 year where one of our contributors started out with one pull request and then did another one the next day. And he ended up doing one every day. His goal was doing one every day, but he ended up doing about 100, so about 3 a day. And he became one of our highest, one of our top contributors immediately. Yeah,
wow, that's amazing.
Super fun. And that's another thing that we've been doing. So I'm not not reviewing all those pull requests by myself. Of course, we have our team at Umbraco to help me with that. But we also have a volunteer community team helping us with that. That's 5 people who have volunteered to help us make sure that we pay attention to the right pull requests. They help me testing and making sure that all those things that, like you said, the quality standards are up to par. And we've empowered them to just merge pull requests whenever they think it's ready. My boss found that a little bit scary, so we have one little gate. That's me. So when it's all merged, I still go over it and go, okay, this can go into the dev branch now. So they can merge into a contrib branch, and I can merge that all into the dev branch. I think I've reverted 2 pull requests in the last 3 years, so they're doing an excellent job.
Awesome. Yeah. It's nice when you have a community and you have a team that can help support you and give you the confidence to hit that merge button. Because as we're recording this is on a Friday, the whole deploy on Fridays thing. It's something I haven't really thought a lot about, mainly because all the modern tooling, you have so much freedom to be able to revert or to have confidence in fixing stuff in production.
Totally.
Yeah. Cool. So we actually we've been chatting for about 20 minutes. I know that we've got a few folks, and Umbraco people are joined us as well. Kara, welcome in. Kara from GitHub. Hello. So if anybody has any questions, comments, like feel free to request. We're happy to include others folks in the conversation to talk about this term, which is commercial open source software. I feel like there's a lot of I'm seeing a trend right now where YC is the one place I'm seeing a lot of this at, where there's open source projects that are now getting some sort of venture funding or some sort of cloud hosted project. One of the bigger ones was the Docker maintainers. They just launched. Well, they didn't just launch. They just raised. They announced a new funding raise of their tool called Dagger. And Dagger is like similar to GitHub Actions. It's a automation tooling suite to be able to provide automation. I think happy for the Docker founders that they have a new thing that they can work on and help contribute back to the community. But going back to what I was saying, it's open source, but there's a commercial element of it. And actually, I didn't even ask what your background is. You mentioned .NET. Actually, I didn't ask you your background, but you introed yourself as
Yes.
.NET background. But even I don't know if you follow the JavaScript ecosystem, Deno, which is like the Rust powered Node runtime, just
I don't
also
know that.
announced their COSS offering too as well, which is
Yeah, okay.
hosted functions written in Rust but powering JavaScript developers as well. Fascinating stuff. So I'm curious what your take on the sort of the broader ecosystem of the commercial open source software.
Yeah, I feel like we've been lucky because we have it's a system, so we can just put it in a hosted thing, right? It's very different from a project like OpenSSL, who needs to they can't just do a hosted version of. Oh, I guess they could actually. Okay, never mind. They should do a hosted version of that.
I hope they're listening.
But there's a lot of smallish or medium-sized open source projects that for which it's not a great fit. We've been experimenting with all kinds of things. As I said, plugins that are paid for, training, partnerships, all those kinds of things. And I think GitHub sponsors these days is also a really good way to see if you can actually make this maybe not profitable, but you might make a living out of maintaining your open source projects.
Yeah, it's something I actually had a conversation with Faraz from the JavaScript Node ecosystem. He famously created this thing called NPM Fund, which was like a way. It was pre-GitHub sponsors, but it was like a way for people on the NPM ecosystem to try to get some sort of kickback. And I think there's a lot of solutions like Open Collective. We got Tidelift, we got GitHub sponsors, and a couple other stuff like Gitcoin's another one. And where you can fund your open source and like make it. The term sustainable is like not even. It's just like viable is the term I'm really looking for.
Viable is good. Yeah.
And so like not everybody needs to like get VC funding or have a commercial offering to hopefully make their work viable. And I think famously the maintainer of curl is one that comes to mind. Who he does depend on a lot of Patreon and sponsorship, but he doesn't have. As you mentioned, like OpenSSL, like that's one of them that could do a cloud. Like curl as a cloud offering, someone will probably figure it out. Like I'm not going to say you can't do it, but I'm confident someone will figure it out. But today, like Daniel Stenberg, he like just needs to have someone pay the bills so he can go solve this problem for millions and millions of companies and projects.
It's crazy. There's so many people using curl. I mean, how is that not possible? That you cannot sustain it. Yeah. I don't have any answers. I'm lucky that we have found a way, but I don't think anybody has like the sort of like the hammer to sort of hit on the nail to make sure that this is no longer a problem in the future. But I think there's enough people who have solved it for them, and we just need more people sharing their solutions. So like, if you want to start a foundation to fund your open source work, like that's one path. If you want to start a company, that's another path. If you want to set up a Patreon, that's another path. So as long as like it's community is accepting of people funding and making this viable as a way of life, then I think we're moving in the right direction. But I think we're maybe a few years or maybe even 5 years away from. I think that might also be a company awareness problem. So loads of companies use loads of open source software, and we have a very moderate sponsor fund. So we're currently sponsoring 3 projects for a year that we depend on a lot. But I think a lot of companies could actually go and look at what open source projects they're actually using and see if they can actually sponsor that. It doesn't have to be a lot, but if there's a lot of companies doing a little bit,
Yeah.
then altogether it should help.
Yeah, that's what I like about. Well, GitHub sponsored now. You can sponsor as an organization.
Oh yes,
Open Collective as well. But it is an awareness thing. So like, if you know you can
Yeah.
do it, it makes it easier. But it's also I don't know. I don't know if the onus is around the individual employees on encouraging companies to participate in this, because I know like I know one developer who's getting paid, who's being sponsored by Stripe, and it's all public information. It's like anybody can research and find out who this is, but their Stripe they have a budget for how many projects they go and sponsor and support. And I think if every company did that, then I think we'd have a solved problem. So maybe that is the solution.
Exactly.
Just getting companies on board.
Absolutely. That's certainly going to help a lot.
Cool. Yeah. So I'm gonna wind down the conversation. I really enjoyed the learning about this and Umbraco. Just wanted to share if you have any last words or any things that you could point people to. If they want to get involved in the community or just check out Umbraco today, like where are places people can go to?
Yeah, github.com/Umbraco is where all of our source code lives. Of course, Umbraco.com is where you will find all the. I'm not in the advertising, but this is where all the commercial stuff lives, basically. I live on GitHub, so if you go there, you'll see my face everywhere. We're happy to have people join our community, check out the CMS. If you want to fix a bug, please do. That's going to be very helpful.
Excellent. I appreciate that. And folks who are listening, like this is a recorded space, but we're also recording some extra audio and video outside of this to make this into a sort of package thing on the youtube.com/open sauce. So find us there if you haven't found us there already. And then I'm going to end the space, but Sebastian, stick around because I want to get some extra clips from you. And yeah, everyone, if you found any sort of value from this, like definitely hit the share button right now and tweet out the space link. I failed to mention I just got access to clips, so you can actually clip audio from different portions of our conversation on the space. Tweet out that clip out there. So if you heard any nuggets, it'll be recorded on the original tweet that you tweet out. And you can go back and listen. Other people can go back and listen to this too as well. So wink, wink, nudge, nudge. If anybody in marketing and Umbraco is here, definitely tweet it out now so you can share that in the future. But yeah, thanks everyone else. And if you haven't as well, like definitely follow Sebastian in the Umbraco Twitter account so that way you can keep up to date on the happenings. So everyone, cheers, and we'll see you in the next one. All right, see you.